if you haven't seen it yet, that is the story of the day. Broke the internet across the football world. Jurgen Klopp will leave Liverpool after 9 seasons at the end of this current season, which was announced earlier today. And Ian, this was shocking to wake up to. What was your reaction when you saw this?
One of sadness. You know, I love the beautiful game for many reasons, and characters within our beautiful sport are so important for the development of the game, and it's reasons why we love the game so much as we do. Jurgen Klopp is an absolute icon. And of course, I got to know Jurgen Klopp very closely in my time in Germany, and he was an excellent coach back then. He went on to have success with Borussia Dortmund after Mainz, and then just watching this journey, going to a club like Liverpool, which in my personal opinion was the perfect step from Dortmund to Liverpool to have this type of success. It was great sadness this morning when I heard this news, because when I associate Liverpool with the Premier League, it's hard to do so without the name Jurgen Klopp next to it.
Especially with how much Liverpool is still playing for this season, sitting at the top of the Premier League, playing in the Carabao Cup final coming up, and also competing in Europe as well.
Yeah.
The timing was a bit interesting. Were you surprised at how this announcement was delivered and when it was delivered?
Well, clearly it was pre-planned, and obviously if you listen to the press conferences and the release from Liverpool Football Club, that they knew about this in November. He first felt the feeling back in November. And it's very difficult to understand when those feelings will come across you, when it's the right time to step away from such a big job. And you can maybe guess how much work Jurgen Klopp has been putting into Liverpool Football Club, but you'd be miles away from it, because this guy is everything that Liverpool Football Club is. And of course, his press conference was one of sadness as well. Some of the questions were very difficult to listen to, especially with his answers, but he's positive. You can ask me 500 questions now, but after this, we get on with it, and we get on with the rest of the season, because I want to finish off in style, and I can only see that there's a great opportunity for Liverpool now, motivating, getting to win a Premier League title and potentially lifting another European trophy, and that's a story in itself.
It'll be interesting to see how the locker room responds to this news and what extra motivation that might give this Liverpool squad. You mentioned the press conference. Let's take a listen to what Jurgen Klopp had to say to the media after the announcement came down this morning.
When you have the career I have had or have, I want to see that, it's pretty much impossible to start where I start and arrive at Liverpool. But if it becomes possible, then it's just because you absolutely invested everything you had, and that's what I always did, and was never a problem. You're in a similar age. It's we are no young rabbits anymore, and we don't jump as high as we did, and all these kind of things, and that's how it is, and that's why I've been, and it was not, I didn't think about it on purpose. I thought, let's have a think, how will it be? It just happened, and then I started thinking about it, and that was the moment when I knew this club, especially with the team we have, with all the super things we have in this club needs, on top of that, a manager and its top game and its top level. My managing skills, obviously, so many better managers out there, but it's based on energy, on emotion, on relationships and all these kind of things. And that takes all of you. That's just how it is. It needs all of you. And in the moment you think, okay, they can't do it like that anymore, then you can do it maybe a little bit different. Also, I'm who I am and I'm where I am because how I am. So with all the good and the bad things, it is. And if I cannot be that anymore, stop it.
When Jurgen joined us in 2015, he talked about leaving the club in a better place than he found it. And I think if you look at where we are today versus where we were when he joined us, there's absolutely no doubt that he's done that.
No club, no country for the next year, no other English club ever. I can promise that, even if I have nothing to eat, that will not happen. So, and that will not happen as well, by the way. So, thanks to Liverpool.
Jurgen Klopp, an excellent football manager and excellent with the media as well. You just saw his press conference. Joining us now to talk more about those comments is our own Geoff Shreeves, who was on Morning Footy earlier today reacting to this big news. Geoff, you were on the press conference. What was your takeaway from some of the most recent comments from Jurgen Klopp?
Hey Ali, hi Ian. To be honest with you, my first reaction is when I saw him in person, because it was a pre-recorded video that Liverpool released at around about 11 a.m. our time earlier on today. So I was intrigued to see him in person in terms of the press conference. And my first takeaway was it was so downbeat. It was. I mean, you managed to find a couple of clips there. Was a little bit of humour, and normally his press conferences are laced, absolutely laced with humour. And when I say downbeat, it was just, if you like, a little bit somber, and as though he realised he wanted to do it. He realised he needed to do it, but I think he's going to draw a line in the sand here now. Say, right, that is it. Do not for one second think this is going to be a recurring theme for every interview, every press conference I do for the remainder of this season. You know, we've got the quadruple to go for, and we are going to focus on that. This is not about me, okay? I've made a decision based on my personal feelings, but now this is time to put, the club and the players quite rightly to the forefront of everything. But he also, again, he said there is relief now that he's made the decision. He's got the energy. I think he and the players will be energised by the announcement, and now everybody knows where they stand. But what he doesn't want this to be is, if you like, a sideshow, a circus. It doesn't want to be a distraction in any shape or form. It's business as usual as far as he's concerned. That's why he wanted to get today out of the way. I think he will also have a huge sense of relief that today is gone as well. But having said that, just imagine when they face Norwich City in the FA Cup on Sunday. Anfield will be so emotionally charged. It really, really will. So what he wants and what actually happens might be two separate things. But overall, look, he's made decisions for himself. He's worked so hard. He works 24 hours a day. Yes, of course, he's highly paid, but it drains you. It absolutely drains you. And we saw Pep Guardiola. He took a year out, and the difference it made it to him. So that's why I think Jurgen said, look, there'll be nothing. Club, country, nothing for at least a year. So he's clear in his mind. He's made his decision. Understandably, Liverpool supporters are upset. This day was always going to come one day. So he chose that he would be the person to choose when it happens.
Shreeves, obviously you've had the opportunity to speak with Klopp and ask many a question to the great man himself, and he leaves a legacy behind Liverpool Football Club. My question to you would be, what is that legacy? Because the supporters certainly are letting their feelings known right now with comments across social media. Most recently I checked out one comment, you'll love this one, Shreevesy. One gentleman said, "I'm crying. This man has meant more to me than most of my family members." So what exactly is his legacy? Is it trophy winning? Is it games? Is it style? Or is it just Jurgen Klopp? Is that all we can say?
Well, I hope that gentleman's family members don't follow him on social media, Ian, for a start. But look, you can see what he's won there, okay? Now, if you took, I know "if" is a very, very big word, even though it's only two letters, take Manchester City out of the equation, and that board would be about 3 times the size of that. So he's slightly unfortunate in that he came to Liverpool at a time when Pep Guardiola was absolutely lighting up the league, and the difference in points totals between them is so fine. It's between those two going head to head really for the last 5 years. Let's be honest. I know Arsenal came into it last season, but it's been all about the big two there, if you like. I don't think it's just the trophies, Ian. I don't think it's just the memorable nights he's given the club. I think the way he didn't just rejuvenate the club after a fallow period, but he connected with the supporters. He identified with them. I think he was in tune or in line, if you like, with the club, with its supporters, with the politics of Liverpool, with the political views of the supporters as well. And I think it was natural. I don't think he carried a favour deliberately. He was just the right fit. He just fitted them. They took to him immediately. And of course, when he started winning trophies, they more than took him to their hearts. He was never afraid to upbraid them on rare occasions if he felt some section weren't quite right for whatever reason. I don't know, singing songs or whatever. But he fiercely protected his club and his supporters and his players as well. So, they could not have asked for a better manager in recent times. He was absolutely superb for them. And again, I underline the fact that the only reason that list of silverware, which is pretty impressive, it's hugely impressive, it would have been far greater had it not been for Manchester City.
Shreeves, do you have any funny stories? Obviously, having the opportunity to speak to him and get to interview him, being personal with him and getting close to these people. You must have some sort of story that's never been shared with the world before, especially about Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, thanks for the notice here.
Safe for TV, Geoff, please.
all I can tell, well, it's not a case of, if you like, funny stories. But the thing about Jurgen, he was a great interviewee because you had to be on your toes with him. He could be humorous, he could be extremely sharp, he could be frosty with you as well. And in the early days, you used to have, he normally liked to come quickly to do the interview, but most of the time there was a slight delay while he popped outside for a quick cigarette. So that was. Yeah, understandably, that was first thing on his mind, as opposed to speaking to the likes of me. And let's be honest, who can blame him? He was terrific value, and he is terrific value for the media because he just doesn't do bland. He doesn't do cliches. He will give you a right answer. He'll also give you a right hard time if he feels he's right to do so. I remember one interview he did with a colleague of mine where the interviewer asked a question. He didn't like it, and he had to go back at him and carried on. And then the interviewer explained where he was coming from. And Klopp had the grace to say, sorry about that earlier as well. He conceded the guy had the right to ask the question. It was a perfectly fair question. So, it went both ways. And sometimes he was a difficult interviewee because he's so bright, and he works as an analyst in Germany a lot. Ian, you will have seen that.
Yes.
He was often in the studios there, so he knows the job of the touchline reporter. And quite often, he will answer the question and the next question and the next question when you've only just started. So you had to have a lot, but he was always good to talk about lots and lots of subjects, no matter how diverse. And the best times when you used to go to the training ground and there'd be maybe 2-3 minutes before the interview actually started. And he didn't have a lot of time because he had so much to do. But occasionally you'd get, little snippets. You talk about other things that are happening in the world, whatever. Hugely personable guy, hugely personal. And I think that if it is exactly as it's being presented, and I've got no reason to believe that it isn't, I think he's made the right decision. Because, what's the alternative? He doesn't have the energy. He doesn't do the job as well. It starts to fall away. And then inevitably the club relieve him of his duties. That's not the way to go out.
Yeah.
Go out on your shield. Go out a champion. Go out with as many trophies as possible. Go out with the fans saluting you forever. He's just been given the freedom of the city of Liverpool. He has the freedom of Anfield for the rest of his life. And, good on him. If he's made this decision, he needs a rest. He looks like he needs a rest. And then enjoy time with his family. Listen, compared to me, he looks like a spring chicken.
We'll see if Klopp's able to add any more hardware to the cabinet. The big question now, who's his replacement?
Ooh.
Well, the bookmaker's favourite is Xabi Alonso. And as you know, he's spoken this afternoon at his press conference at Bayer Leverkusen. And he was very diplomatic. He straight away talked about what a great manager Klopp was, what he's like to play for Jurgen Klopp. And then he said, look, I'm here. My focus is here, but you never know what happens in the future. Look, he ticks all the right boxes, doesn't he? There's always the added attraction when it's, if you like, one of your own, a former player. So I could see the attraction of that. But there are also the signs that he is a top manager in the making. So, again, but going back to Jurgen Klopp, I thought a really interesting part of the interview and the press conference today was part of his timing is this Liverpool Mark II that he has created. First of all, he didn't quit while the team was off the rails. He wanted to get the team going once again. He's got them going again. There's a few youngsters going through. He said, look, I'm not saying it's the best team possible, but the basics are really good there for somebody else to take over.
Yeah.
He's saying, look, I've got a platform here. Somebody could do a really good job with this. Yeah. Really good job. Honestly, it's fake. Look, you know me. I love interviews. I love the media. You could dissect that that press conference and that video today. There's so much to read into it. And I think that will happen in the media over the next few days. About so many of the things he said, I thought were a fascinating insight into the mind of an extremely intelligent and successful football coach.
Yep,
Jeff, that's
absolutely.
exactly how we feel about you every time you come on here and just drop knowledge left and right on
on
us.
the other foot now, Jeff.
Exactly. Awesome stuff as always. Jeff Shreeves, we look forward to catching up with you again
Have a great
real
weekend.
soon.